We already know the SNES is stuffed to the brim with heroic quests and sprawling RPG sagas, but then there's Wonder Project J, Enix's audacious venture into robotic child rearing that somehow slipped through Western localization nets. Nope, please import me stickers included. Is it a bizarre oddity, a quietly brilliant classic, or just another overpriced import destined for bargain bins? Rhetorical question, who wouldn't want to raise a robot boy with more emotional range than half the party members in Chrono Trigger? Answer, me, when I forgot to feed Pino pudding and caused a meltdown. Wrapped in a point-and-click shell and powered by pudding as its absurd through line, yes, pudding. I dare say it's one of the most overlooked gems on the Super Famicom. Hyperbole? Only if you've never watched Pino's circuits flicker to life after a well-timed snack. Strap in, dear reader, because teaching a mechanical child the meaning of hug might just redefine your retro collection. Historical context, December 9th, 1994, the Super Famicom library is groaning under the weight of Final Fantasy VI, Donkey Kong Country, and Tales of Fantasia, yet Enix quietly slips Wonder Project J onto Japanese shelves, developed by Almanic Corporation, the very team that previously asked you to evolve fish into land-walking behemoths in EVO Search for Eden. We're already in strange territory. Enix, riding high on Dragon Quest's domestic dominance, chose to diversify. Rather than another sword-wielding protagonist, they opted for a blank slate, Pino, the robotic boy whose only instruction manual is your empathy. Director Takashi Yoneda envisioned a Pinocchio for gamers, and art directors Toshihiro Kawamoto and Umanosuke Ida lent their anime studio sensibilities to over 2,000 frames of expressive sprite animation. Akihiko Mori's wistful synth score provided the emotional underscore, more at home in a Studio Ghibli film than in a pixelated life sim. In an era when cartridges clamored for explosive bosses and world-spanning plots, Wonder Project J felt like a meditation, a pastel-toned adventure about teaching a child moral circuits, from kindness to courage. While Nintendo's player's guides pushed swordless and magic tables, Enix published a companion manual detailing Pino's hidden stats, strength, empathy, luck, without spoiling the joy of discovery. Retailers in Tokyo's Akihabara district hosted fleeting demo kiosks, drawing curious crowds who marveled at clicking menus instead of wielding D-pads. Though no official localization ever materialized, the fan translation patch of 2001, born from emulator communities, finally cracked the code for Western audiences, cementing Pino's place in import lore. Wonder Project J's sales eclipsed 1.3 million units in Japan, a remarkable feat given its unconventional premise. It outperformed many mid-tier RPGs, proving that gamers were hungry for something different. Its sequel, Wonder Project J2, forged on the then-new Nintendo 64 hardware in 1996, expanded the universe but maintained the core premise: nurture a mechanical soul. Yet neither title ever saw an official release outside Japan, locking their secrets behind region barriers and yen-heavy price tags. To Western collectors, acquiring a copy meant shelling out over $60 at the time, north of $110 today, a barrier that winnowed the audience down to the most ardent import enthusiasts. I remember first spotting Wonder Project J in a back-alley Akihabara shop, its pastel cover art peeking from beneath a stack of RPG guides, an uncanny contrast to the usual dragon and sword motif. Yes, I paid 7,000 yen and didn't regret it. Well, maybe after the third reset when Pino refused to learn how to fish. It arrived amid discussions of polygonal future and Mode 7 flourishes. Yet its interface required nothing more exotic than a simple point-and-click cursor, navigated by Tinker, Pino's fairy guide. In a gaming landscape obsessed with power-ups and level grinding, Enix's gamble on emotional nurturing was as bold as launching a vampire dating sim during Halloween week. Mechanic's Wonder Project J unfolds like an interactive fairy tale, but your role is neither hero nor villain. It's Guardian. You cannot directly move Pino, instead you wield Tinker, the pink-winged fairy thermometer for Pino's feelings. Click an object, say a loaf of bread, and Tinker whispers instructions. Encourage him to eat, or save that for later, each choice tweaking Pino's hidden stats. We already know this sounds a tad like babysitting a Tamagotchi on steroids, but stay with me. Pino's life revolves around balancing physical circuits, health, strength, and emotional circuits, empathy, courage. Feed him too many batteries to recharge health and his mental gauge sags. Push too much pudding to buoy his spirits and he skews wildly off the strength curve. It's juggling more stats than a tabletop RPG character sheet and far more delicate than selecting weapons in a standard action game. Imagine guiding Pino's first sword lesson. You click the training dummy, Tinker prompts teach him the guard stance, and you watch as Pino stiffens, his hydraulics whirring in 16-bit glory. Nail the sequence, guard, strike, parry, and you earn points toward his courage circuit, a vital metric that determines whether he can face later trials. Botch it, miss a click, or misinterpret Tinker's tone, and Pino slumps, requiring an emotional pick-me-up. Pudding works wonders, or a stern talking to. Question, whoever thought scolding a robot could be so traumatic? Answer, me, when I watch Pino's face glitch in pixel tears. Day and night cycles structure the game, though not rigidly. Certain events unlock only after day 3 or day 7. Others hinge upon virtue thresholds. Skip a deadline and Pino still trudges on, but fails to trigger the Circuit J awakening, the climax that unlocks his full humanity. Miss that window, and you're gently nudged to replay. No game over screens, just wistful narration urging another attempt. It's the antithesis of arcade quarter-eating grinds, favoring reflection over repetition. Objects litter each stage. Fishing rods on marine piers, storybooks in wood-paneled study rooms, elixirs on alchemist benches, and each invites a lesson. Fishing isn't a minigame with timed button presses. It's a dialogue. Click the rod, click the lure, then watch Pino's questioning gaze until he tugs it with enough strength, circuit permitting, to reel in a fish. Nail the rhythm, click, wait for splash, click again, and rejoice in his triumphant grin. Miss it, and the fish escapes. But Pino learns resilience, his empathy gauge climbing, because even defeat can be a lesson. Nerd metaphor. This boss fight has more iframes than a 3.5 ED and D monk, because you'll need perfect timing on those clicks. Contrast this with Harvest Moon's energy bars, or Princess Maker's siblings as stress ball routine, and Wonder Project J emerges as distilled intention. No cluttered HUD, just Pino's sprite over a richly painted backdrop and Tinker's guiding glow. The UI displays 2 health meters, one mechanical, green, one emotional, pink, and a brief text cue when stats shift. No sprawling menus, no RPG-style inventories. Instead, you rely on observation, Pino's posture, Tinker's reactions, and subtle sound cues courtesy of Mori's soundtrack. Side note, I once looped the opening theme for hours, convinced it held a hidden code. Spoiler, it didn't, but it did inspire a fan remix that still circulates on YouTube. Esoteric trivia alert. The Japanese cart includes an unused checksum comparison in its header, hinting at a debug flag never fully removed, only accessible via action replay codes, not standard button combos. Hardcore import magazines whispered of CPU via CPU demos unlocked by hardware hacks, but without a cheat device, these remain developer vestiges. And yes, a minimal official strategy guide accompanied launch, though it lacked the concept art sketches once rumored. Instead, it offered stat tables and flowcharts to optimize virtue gains. Throughout, pudding serves as our absurd through line. That creamy dessert isn't just fan service, it's a teaching tool. Offering Pino pudding requires circuits of trust, but overuse skews his energy distribution. Too much joy, too little grit. Pudding becomes metaphor. Sweet moments, if overindulged, lead to imbalance. It's an oddball narrative device, yet it binds teaching, nourishment, and emotional calibration into one delectable sphere. Who knew custard would unlock mechanical souls? Legacy and influence. Decades on, Wonder Project J's impact ripples through life sim and narrative games alike. Its emphasis on emotional metrics presaged modern titles like Life is Strange, where moral decisions shape character arcs, and indie hits such as Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, which teach players empathy through gameplay rather than cutscenes. The gesture-based interaction model echoes in later mobile sims, where simple taps and drags become lifelines to virtual companions. Almanic's bold design also paved the way for narrative experiments on Nintendo hardware. Wonder Project J2 on N64 expanded Pino's universe into 3D, retaining the nurturing mechanics while adding voice acting, albeit still Japan only. Outside Japan, indie developers citing Pino's influence include the makers of Engine Heart 2012 and Mecha Kanoko 2018, who both adopted the notion of hidden stats revealed only through consistent care. Weekly Pino playthrough streams on Twitch celebrate these mechanics, complete with community-created fan translations, showing that empathy sim fans are alive and well. In Western scenes, the game's absence fueled creative workarounds. Engine Heart was marketed as a spiritual successor, while the fan translation of 2001 taught ROM hackers the power of community passion. Hardcore Gaming 101's deep dive on Wonder Project J remains the definitive English resource, ensuring Pino's legacy endures beyond cartridge lifespans. Collectors hunt original carts on eBay, where prices can still soar above $100. Proof that rarity and reverence go hand in hand. Yet Wonder Project J remains delightfully niche. Outside retro forums, mention Pino and you'll receive quizzical looks until someone's eyes light up at the pudding reference. It's a title that demands patience, rewards observation, and refuses to conform to action-heavy tropes. In an age of speed runs and instant gratification, its deliberate pacing feels revolutionary, an invitation to slow down, learn, and care. Closing paragraph plus score. So should you import Wonder Project J and embark on the unlikeliest of parenting adventures? Rhetorical question. Who wouldn't want to witness a robot boy's first smile? Answer. Only the heartless, and we're not among them. Whether you're orchestrating Pino's pudding regimen or fine-tuning his sword technique, you'll find a game that prizes connection over conquest, emotion over explosion. It's absurd, challenging, and profoundly sincere, like teaching a clockwork heart to beat with humanity. Final verdict, 8.5 out of 10, docked half a point for its niche appeal and occasional pacing hurdles, but uplifted by the sheer wonder of nurturing a mechanical child. May your circuits stay warm, and your pudding portions always be just right.